Whoever told me about this band is an asshole. They really are. They're an asshole just based around what the whole thing has become. Maybe I should explain myself. Black Veil Bride's Faithless. It's their new single coming from their self-titled album, which will be due out in October. Gotta react to this song, principally because it's not really expected of me, but if I don't, people will freak the fuck out. Plain and simple. That's kind of what it's become. It's become to the point where I need to have an opinion on this because this is part of what my channel is all about. It's talking about future songs from future albums that are coming out, as well as reviewing the album once it's released. And this is a band that's become kind of a staple. Because I did a review of Wretched and Divine, The Story of the Wild Ones. Whenever that was released, I had some criticisms. I've had some criticism about the fan base of this group. I've had some criticism about the group itself. We're going to throw all of that away. But some things, unfortunately, can't be thrown away because they are criticisms that I had for that album that may actually be washing over to this song. And ultimately, to this album, once it comes out and I listen to it. Faithless is a track that has a new heaviness to it. Now, the Black Veil Brides are now slinging the help of Bob Rock at the helm, which is something that earlier this year I felt could potentially be their death knell. Could be something that actually turns people away, considering the division that was fueled behind Metallica whenever Bob Rock was at the helm. Took them to new heights, but also took them to new heights of division between the fan base. This is a song that I don't think is going to really have that polarizing effect. In fact, if anything, I think many members of the Black Veil Brides army, as they call themselves, will find themselves to be very happy with this. They'll like the evolution, they'll like where this song has gone, just as much as they enjoy the fact that they want to think that Black Veil Brides army is, original. Not exactly the biggest Gene Simmons fan, but Kiss Army. Just saying. Speaking of a lacking of originality, there's just something about this song that feels like it's very much trying to be part of a niche. It's trying to be part of something that I've noted in this movement of music over the past 12 to 18 months, with bands such as Avenged Sevenfold and Trivium. And there's even a little bit of an inkling of a Stone Sour in there, somewhat, whenever it comes to the vocalization and the instrumentalization that's behind it. The overall collective definitely delivers me a feel that resembles those three bands if they somehow decided to get into the same room and fuck relentlessly and music popped out of the uterus of whatever the fuck. That made no sense, but I know most of you understood it. That doesn't make sense by itself, but we're going to move on. One of my principal criticisms of Wretched and Divine was the fact that they have, the Black Veil Brides that is, a talented guitar swinging core, including a soloist that really just has a lot of capability. But it's capability that feels like it's only micromanaged. It's not harnessed to its full extent. He's not really given the freedom that is really necessary in order to really drive a song. This is not a gentleman that's being given the freedom to actually change the course of a song, either that or really change its direction or its rating based around what he's able to really do with a solo, either that or even with just a general lick that he writes. He's just not given the ability or option to dominate a track and really be the focal point. This is a huge, huge disappointment, because this was a track that had all of the potential in the world to possess that moment of change, of differentiation, to actually guide the song to a place where you didn't expect it to go, to take it to something that didn't sound so conventional, that didn't sound so expected. But instead, we got the conventional, we got the expected. Overall, as a track, it seems like this is prim and proper and ready to be shipped out to radio stations nationwide and played on the air. It has all the elements that these fans will really crave. It has a heavy sound that will make them feel like they're listening to something of the metallic region. It has inspirational lyrics that are just really monotonous. These lyrics are ridiculous. And I'm not even taking the subject matter into the account. That's not so much what I'm aiming for here. I'm not aiming for controversy based around the fact that it's saying that we will not be the faithless ones. Faith is a term that is purely relative. You can apply it to whatever you wish. But with the imagery that surrounds it, there is something that is guiding itself toward. But again, all could be subjected to metaphor. It's just the fact that these lyrics feel very simply put, simply penned, and really don't feel like they have an ounce of flavor behind them. This is a track that is designed to be anthemic. And if there's one thing that you've noticed, is that most anthemic tracks are done so with very simple speech. That's the reason why it works, but that's also the reason why a lot of fundamental anthems lyrically fall flat, but are uplifted and actually cemented, are able to cement their legacy based around the music that drives them. This is one that just feels a little bit typical. In fact, it feels rather run-of-the-mill. I feel like I've reviewed a song like this before, albeit with different vocals, albeit with a different idea. I feel like I stumbled into last year, and I reviewed Hail to the King, a song that was destined to be a huge hit on the radio, a song that was destined to really move a lot of mountains for that band and give them a impressive first week sales. The only difference that I note between the two is that Hail to the King, even though its lyrics were rather simplistically written, there was a lot of catch behind it. There was a lot of drive behind it. It was something that was able to really make its mark in a big way without having to do way too much. It didn't actually over-posture itself. It instead was able to employ a grand amount of balance. This song does not do that. It's one where it feels jilty. It feels like there are places where it can go, ways in which it could be expanded upon, or even some places where it could just kind of reserve itself a little more. It feels like there's too many spikes in wrong places and too many valleys in others. I don't have high hopes for this album. I didn't going into hearing this track. This track, as I said, it isn't terrible, but it's not one that I would be willing to listen to again, but I'm going to have to whenever I review the album. Of course, this is going to incur the wrath of the Black Veil Bride's army. Uh-oh. An army is only as good as the nation that surrounds it. You have an army, we have a nation. You conquer a nation, well, this is a nation that also has an army. I know it's coming. I'm allowing it to happen, principally because it's going to happen. But I'm going to have you understand one thing before I go. And most of you haven't even made it this far. If you have, congratulations. You see, an opinion is something that every person has. You have it, and you're going to express it, probably in a form of, why are you being such a hater? I'm not being a hater. I'm stating an opinion. I'm stating an opinion that's not the same as yours. Guess what? That happens. It happens rather often in life. You're just going to have to shut up and accept it. Just like I'm going to have to shut up and accept the fact that you like this group. You do that, I do that, we'll be cool. You might like this, you might recommend this to your friends, but I don't.